The one thing I am looking for is JJ McCarthy in this game. I don't think he played at all against Penn State because of the nature of the game, and it was a little bit closer, and maybe they didn't want to expose him to that. I think that he plays in this game. I think Michigan needs to use all of their weapons. I think he's one of them. He just needs to keep the ball off the ground. But are you expecting him to play as much as he does, or even maybe a little bit more in this one?
I think the game situation will dictate it for sure, but he will certainly play. And if you look at the team that Michigan has this year, this entire season was really about, can Jim Harbaugh win enough games to save his job? Because they have had when at Michigan it is athletically obviously at an elite level as an athletic department, but there's a certain culture there academically. If you're not a Michigan fan, you refer to it as elitism. But there is a certain culture there academically that you have to fit into. If you look at Harbaugh's 2017 recruiting class, that was, I think, the number 4 class in the country. It was just decimated by attrition, guys who could not fit into the campus culture at Michigan and left. These last 2 classes, 2019 and 2020, have been the best combination. And this is, what Harbaugh had to do at Stanford. Very similar. It was the best combination of campus fit and overall talent that he has recruited in back-to-back classes. But a lot of these are young guys. Nobody knew what a David Ojabo was at the start of the year. Now he's, on number 10 on Mel Kiper's big board. And so I think this year was about, can Harbaugh win enough games to get to next year when guys like JJ McCarthy, Donovan Edwards, Andrell Anthony, some guys, AJ Henning, some guys that have flashed here and there, that they're not your typical over the last decade or so, Michigan skill level player. This is a different level of skill level talent. Can he win enough games to get to those guys? And lo and behold, they ended up going 10-1, way beyond anybody's expectations. And I think you saw last week, there was a key moment in the Maryland game when JJ comes in. First of all, Harbaugh was very angry at Cade McNamara. They have been all over him all year long about his low release point. Basically, he has a John Navarre release point, if you remember back that far, but he ain't 6'5" like John Navarre. Okay, he's 6'1". Okay, and it's one thing to have athletic defensive players batting balls down the line. It's another thing when you're throwing him into the back of your own team's helmets. And Harbaugh benched him for a series. Had not really done that much of this year. There's always been a plan with JJ when he would play. There's never been, hey, we got to send a message to Cade. They benched him. Harbaugh really gave it to him on the sidelines for throwing sidearm and losing his mechanics. They put JJ in and let him run an entire series, and he leads them right down the field for a touchdown. And when they get to the goal line, he actually, even though we're running a check with me system like a lot of the spread teams are these days, he actually checked out of the play that was called and went to an audible and ended up getting a touchdown on that play. That's just kind of one of those, all right, maybe the kid is ready now kind of moments. And I give Harbaugh credit. It would have been very tempting to play JJ right away. And if you go 7-5, that's kind of your get out of jail free card. Yeah, we went 7-5, but we had the freshman 5-star and we got him ready and he's ready for he didn't do that. He didn't risk, serving a wine before it's time. And Cade McNamara, even though his development this year has been slow, he has really come on in the last few weeks. I think that's not a coincidence that it's kind of emerged alongside of JJ's emergence too. But I agree with you that you're going to see him on Saturday. How much, I don't know. And one of the things we've seen in the history of this series is, outlier performances. And from a Michigan perspective, you go back to Timbiaka Batuka, the Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend in 1995. Michigan did not have a game plan of, let's see if we can run for 300 yards with one guy. It just happens, okay? And so I think if Michigan is able to do at the line of scrimmage what it wants to do, you may see less of JJ. But I definitely think he is going to be a significant X factor in the game plan one way or the other.
Does he have to start next year?
I think that, if you look, so we don't know what the schedule for next year is yet because the Big Ten is still reshuffling the conference schedule from COVID. So we've got right now a list that we're playing at Michigan State again next year. That's not true. They haven't changed that yet. What we do know is this, though, that 3 of our first 4 games, depending on what the Big Ten decides to do week 1 with the conference schedule like they did this year, if they want to do that again, we weren't included in that. Maybe we will be next year. But our non-conference games, guys, is a scrub-a-thon. Okay, I mean it's like UConn and I mean a couple. It's just a scrub-a-thon. That would be the perfect opportunity to hand the reins over to JJ McCarthy and let him, develop. Well, I don't need to say confidence. If you've interviewed JJ McCarthy or watched him for 10 seconds, he ain't lacking confidence. Okay. But to get him sort of acclimated to being the face of the franchise, so to speak.